You are watching Sailor Today TV, your unmissable dose of vitamin C.
Kashish, my co-host Cadet, she was
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
go to Chennai for her exams. She went to Chennai. Her academy, closed down because of the COVID, and she's back home now doing nothing. ये सिर्फ ये
Unfortunately.
सिर्फ सिर्फ इंस्टाग्राम पे या मस्ती वाले वीडियो डालती है, पढ़ाई नहीं कर रही है.
हाँ तो करनी भी नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है, मस्ती करना बहुत जरूरी है.
Okay, thank you so much, Gurpreet, for coming. I know that this topic is as close to your heart as it's to my heart. The empowerment of women and also crime against women. And now you are aptly also handling another charge, crime against women and children. So
Yeah.
just for everyone's knowledge, we are being. I just got a text I could read. Captain Sunil Nangia, who's a owner and editor of Sailor Today magazine. He says we are already online and live relaying all over India. And thank you so much to Captain Nangia. And I would also mention that this Sailor Today magazine is probably the first magazine for sailors ever in India, which was started way back in early 90s. So thank you so much, Captain, for this relay. And before we go to other issues, Gurpreet, I would like to mention something that recently I have noticed, just about a month ago, which I personally noticed, personal experience I had. Whenever I try to get women mariners on board, there's a lot of trolling, and these people, probably the boys with fake accounts on the names of girls or whatever, they come and they talk filth. And I believe you have just recently had some session on cyber crime. Please say something.
Yes, see we had in Punjab Police, we organized a 3-month, awareness drive on cyber suraksha. So we partnered with an NGO called Cyber Peace Foundation, which is doing very good work for preventing cybercrime and raising awareness on this issue. So, more than, talking about that, how we can prevent such people from coming on board. First, I would like to address the issue that why would people like to do this? So if, these male dominated professions, like I also belong to one profession which is male dominated, the police service. And similarly, we have other service organizations like the Army, Air Force and the Navy, where also women have come in recently. And there is a kind of, it is more of a patriarchal issue where people feel threatened by women, coming into this space. After all, it is the right of every woman to go into any field which she desires to. And if she desires to go to the police or for that matter to the merchant navy, then she has every right to do so. And you cannot really be judgmental about why a woman would want to do sailing or why a woman would want to go into the army or into the police. And it is really not fair. And because I had to come online with you, so I just it occurred to me that since you had mentioned that women in the merchant navy find it difficult to enter because of the societal pressure and the pressure of the parents. So I would like to discuss the view of the Supreme Court on this regarding the permanent commission of women into the army. On 20th February,
Yeah.
I think 17th or 20th February last year in 2020, the Supreme Court gave a landmark judgment saying that, the women directing the army authorities, that women should be taken.
Some network issue, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we've lost her.
Yeah. Ma'am, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get her again. I think she went off.
Somebody is asking how to convince parents. I think Kashish, you can answer this.
I think that they should look up to you, like you are the example, you are the best example, those who want to do BTech in marine engineering. So, and other captain also like Suneha Gupta ma'am and Radhika Menon who got an award from IMO. So they can look up to these inspiring people and they can
Yeah.
convince their
Yeah,
parents.
I think that's one of the best ways to show them that there are existing women who are successful.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and of course, I think the policies nowadays are very clean in terms of those, I mean, at least for those companies who want to employ women seafarers. But having said all of that, you can convince only up to a certain level. Beyond
I
that,
know, I know.
you have to take
Therefore,
your call, which
right,
I
right,
think most of us did at during that time when we were supposed to take that decision.
right.
Ma'am, at your
And
time it was very difficult. And what about now? Now also it is very difficult. As
Yeah.
Gurpreet ma'am told us that induction of women in Air Force and Army, there are seats available, but women are not applying for induction in Air Force. They themselves are not like occupying the seats.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that issue is there. I mean, recently when I spoke to, I mean, Nyari, of course, we know her. And I don't know who, the other day we were talking with Isha Chandilya,
Isha
and
ma'am, yeah.
she again mentioned the same thing that, like Nyari also, all those girls who had the backing of their parents, they could do well in life. Doesn't matter Merchant Navy or wherever. So backing of the parents is very important,
We do,
for
we
any
need.
girl to shine.
Yeah, yeah. So we need to do a lot of awareness like these, sessions which you are having. So to
Yeah.
bring to home to such people that, this is not the right attitude. So rather than punishing them for doing what they're doing, we need to work on their attitudes and try to, enlarge their exposure to things. And also, of course, one must.
Oh, unable to join this. There's still issue with the Gurpreet.
Issue
Let
with
me.
network, I guess, some weather condition.
Yeah,
Somehow, whenever me and her, we are supposed to be on the same platform, something
I
goes.
know something is going wrong
Last
every
time,
time. Yeah,
Something which happens
last
every
time
time.
I wasn't able to join.
yeah. Gurpreet, I can't get you, so I'm sending you the.
Done.
I think now she should be able to. She was online. Yeah, okay.
Gotcha.
So continue, Gurpreet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I also became a victim of trolling, I think. So I don't know who's trolling me, but they can do whatever they want. It's a free country. So, Ravi, it doesn't really matter. So all these trollers can do whatever. So we can just block them off.
Okay.
So we don't really have to listen to whatever everybody has to say, because
Uh-huh.
per se it is not a crime to say something negative. But
No,
of course
the
it is.
worst, Gurpreet, the worst is when they start using bad language. That's where it starts getting out of control. Otherwise, trolling is okay. If you don't agree with my views, say whatever you want to say. But you know, these are some fake accounts. They start using bad language for the girls, for other people. You know, that's where it
Yeah,
goes out of control.
yeah. So, but
Yeah.
technically speaking, we don't have many options but to block them off,
Okay.
and
Right.
because if you talk the technicality of cybercrime. So cybercrime, if somebody shares, obnoxious, obscene video or some obscene content about somebody, so those come in the category of crimes. But short of that, then it becomes a little bit, then we are in a democracy, and nowadays there are lots of issues of free speech and all that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not a crime to troll in this manner, but of course, we have to then just block off these accounts and hope that better sense will prevail. So it is not possible for the law enforcement authority also to, invest their resources in these kind of things when there are so many more serious things going on, like
Absolutely.
child
Yes.
pornography. So I would like to
Right.
share, just for
Yeah.
the
Sure.
for the awareness of the people who are listening on, that child pornography is another very serious cybercrime which is happening, and people don't know that it is a crime to share child pornography. So the
Absolutely.
adult pornography may not be a crime, but
Right.
child
Right.
pornography sharing, where a child is subjected to, a kind of sexual acts which are obscene, or merely sexual acts, where a child, below a minor child, does not deserve to be, having that kind of thing. And when we share that kind of video, then we are
It's a crime.
actually encouraging the people who are doing child pornography. Hence,
Right.
it is a crime under the Information Technology Act in India.
Right.
And
Right.
if we share in, and you can also tell you that this is now being monitored in the various agencies of the law enforcement agencies, state agencies, and the government of India agencies, and it is possible to extract the information by a scanning of the internet by the law enforcement agencies. And we
Oh,
are
that's great.
getting lots of cases in the all the government of India sends by way of CDs, this kind
Hmm.
of material, in which the state police then identifies the culprits, and through the
Right.
technological devices which we have, and
Right.
people, FIRs have been registered against people who have, later on it is found that they did not even know that they had just casually forwarded some child pornographic material. But the very
Okay.
fact that you are a person, I mean, it speaks of the society in which we live in, that
Right.
people who are educated, who are of good age, who are mature, they are indulging in watching child pornography first of all, and then also sharing it. So
Okay.
it is a crime. So I would encourage all of you to spread this message that a child pornography should not be watched. It should not be transmitted, because it is a crime, and it
Right.
is also causing lot of damage to the children on whom these videos are made. That should also be
Right.
realized, that these are innocent victims who are
Absolutely.
put through these acts, and it makes it all the more deplorable that by doing a simple forward, we are actually encouraging future crime on the minor children.
Minor children.
So
Yeah, actually, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
the seafarers, I would just for your information, seafarers are basically aware of these things, because I remember, you know, when
yeah.
I was sailing, after the turn of the centuries, we used to get these circulars from the shipping from our companies that there should not be on the ships computers or in anybody's personal computers any child pornography, because when the ships were going to Europe, countries like France and these were specifically the names came to us, the inspector will come on board and check your personal computers, and if there's any child pornography, the guys will be prosecuted. So
Yes.
mariners are very aware of that.
It's a very good thing, but I mean, I am happy to note that because the mariners are having an international exposure, and these things are have recently come to India. So
Right.
but I'm happy that at least you guys know about it, and so you should
Yeah,
talk more about it in India
some
also.
awareness is there. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely we
So
will.
you
Yeah.
should create that
And
awareness.
I'll ask Nyari if she has any questions for the top cop, and she is also author of the book, as you know. Just show your book if you have in your hand, Nyari.
Yeah,
Anyway, you can ask the question whatever you have.
Yeah.
Ma'am, a lot of friends of mine, who were doing initially sailing, and they did first ships, and now they are actually giving the UPSC exams. A lot of seafarers are transiting into coming to the shore side, and I think CSE is one of their first choices. So, how would you recommend that? Okay, as a seafarer, you should go for this or not? Because I think I have seen a lot of marine engineers, of course, a lot of them, they are sitting for UPSC exams, and a lot of people from the deck side as well. So,
Okay.
So I would say, Nyari, that going into the public service is what the name entails. It is a service, and it is a service to the public. So if you have a kind of people join the civil services for various reasons. Some join for getting the power of what
yeah,
if you become a senior officer, so you get power and perks. But I would say that more than the power and perks, if you are service oriented and you have a orientation of helping out other people in the society, so there is a lot you can do. There is a lot of scope of doing good work, and the civil services require good people, well intentioned people. So it is a very good option for all those who are interested. And I would say that the more and more well-intentioned people come into the civil services, the better it is for the country. So
yeah,
I would
definitely.
encourage that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
And
as we all know that the process is very daunting, and it's like a
it
long one.
is.
I mean, of course, not everyone gets to where you have reached. What happens in seafaring? You lose a lot of connect with the industry, and because ours is a very hands-on job. So what happens when you go back? You are way behind a lot of people. So I would like to know how was your journey
Yeah. So,
and
Nyari,
the
I get
hurdles.
what you say. See, for a working professional like yourself and others, so I would say that you are in a better position to crack the exam than anybody else, because the kind of exposure, like Ravi was saying, that you already know about pornography, child pornography, and that stuff. So the kind of international exposure that you have, the systems which you have seen abroad, the systems which you follow even in your ships for that matter, they are all very, they are very rule oriented, they are very strict. The laws of various countries are different, and you can learn from, different countries. So that international exposure, I think, will give you a edge in the interview. So then we
Okay.
come to the other thing, which is the exam and the cracking the exam. So I would say that, at least 1 year of serious study is very much required to crack the exam. So if somebody intends to give that exam, so at least minimum 6 to 8 months of serious study, about 10 hours study every day is recommended. because it's a very highly competitive world. I have seen even the best of people, the most intelligent guys around, the girls around also as well, that they can't crack it because of the very high level of competition. So you have to, it is competitive, no doubt, but with a good schedule and selecting topics which you are fond of, and journal studies, going through the journal studies, and having a good idea of all the topics, repetition, hard work, these things are they really matter. And so there is no harm, you can get through very easily, but it is a difficult exam, no doubt.
Yeah.
I have one question relating to same. Gurpreet, for you, probably you were one of the, must be one of the brilliant students who's cracked it early. But I know hundreds of cases where the boys and girls are trying 5 attempts, 4 attempts, 3 attempts, 3 years, 4 hours, 4 years, 5 years, they're going on, and it's so depressing. What do you have to say for those children? I mean, some of them have that, thing that I have to do it, but then there are some who say, भाई मैंने 3 attempt कर लिया, I'm not going more than that.
See, Ravi, I will tell you what should be there. See, not everybody is made to do everything. So sometimes, I might think that I will be, a very good administrator. So it is my ambition to become IAS. I am from a rural area. My English is not that good. My grasp, my writing abilities are not that good. So those are basic things which are required in the civil services, although English is not that much of a criteria, because people can crack it by giving in the regional language also. But I agree with you that it's a competitive exam. So after giving 1 or 2 tries, person should try elsewhere. Like for myself, I was in 2nd year of law when first I did BSc Honours in Biophysics. That was something which my father wanted me to do, in the sense that, they wanted that I should go into the science stream. Because in their time, science was if you are not doing anything on science, then you are supposed to be not brainy or whatever.
No,
I mean,
so anyway, and I was actually not the science student, although I was good. But since after BSc Honours in Biophysics, I said, "Bhai, ab bahut ho gaya." So I've had enough of this stuff, and I don't want to do this, research and all that. So I'll do law. So then I did law. I dropped my MSc in Biophysics. And in the 2nd year of law, then I thought, let me try civil services just for the heck of it, ki hota kaisa. So when I did it, I cleared the preliminary exam. And then in the mains, I was not very much prepared, but I just went through it. And I was not expecting to get through, because I knew I had not really prepared too much about it. So then, when the written marks came, in which I had not cleared for the interview. So, but the marks were very good, much better than what I had expected. So then I thought, ki bhai, this I can crack. It's not that bad. If I do a little hard work, so it is within my reach. So next year then, and that year, of course, I had to finish my law also. So my plan was that at least, why should I leave my law in between also? So the next year, I appeared for my law exams as well as the civil services. And my idea was that if I get anything in the first 400 ranks, then I will join. So there are other services like Indian Audits and Account, Civil Account Services, Railway Services. So we didn't know anything beyond Audit and Account. There are 27 services. Oh. But now one realizes that all of the 27 services are as good as the IPS or IAS. They are equally good. See, even now railway, even Civil Account Service or Railway Traffic Service, and this civil defense services, for example. So in the police headquarters where I sit in Sector 9 in Chandigarh, the next building is the defense civil accounts.
Right,
And it is as big a building as our office. And I knew the head of that building, and she used to be a joint secretary with me in National Commission for Women. And then she was on deputation. I was also in deputation in Delhi. Then I came back and I was here DIG in my office, and there she was heading that civil accounts defense establishment. And she could go. She had Srinagar and all of North India under her. So she was showing me pictures of how she went to Pangong Lake, and she was felicitated by all the top army generals and all that. So civil services, even if you don't make it to the IAS or IPS, rather I would say these services are better. Revenue service, all these services are equally good. But we did not, mostly people don't know about these. So all of these services, if you need a kind of a stability in your career, you need a good, sarkari job, so to say.
Right.
These are good options. Yeah.
Right. So, Kashish, you have any question? Because Ma'am Gurpreet has given us only 30 minutes.
Yes, sir. I have one question for ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, as you were saying about the diversified studies that we have to do for cracking UPSC. So it's option. So we need to master optional subject in order to crack UPSC. Mastering a particular subject.
No, you don't really have to master anything. You just have to study it for 7 to 8 months, and you will master it. Like I had my now I think you have only one subject, but when we appeared, we had two subjects. So we used to have 2 subjects. So I was doing law, so I took law, and the other was I took public administration. So public administration is very general. Even psychology is very general. So all these kind of sociology is very general, and so people take anthropology also. So you have to select your subject where you can write well. So my strong point was that I was good in writing. So I think it did give me an edge in my evaluation and all that. And the other thing which again coming back to what Ravi was saying, that people should give up. Sometimes people come to me, somebody who is just a pass out graduate, and then he tells me my ambition is to join the civil services. Looking at that person, looking at his background, and even if he tries very hard, I know that for him to compete, he cannot make it. But it is very heartbreaking to tell this to people. But then let them try. Ki chalo, koi baat nahi. What if he proves you wrong? He can prove you wrong, of course. So, it is. Nobody should think it is not beyond anybody. Even I say, even if your background is weak, if you work on it, you can improve it. Your English speaking can improve, your evaluation of things can improve, but then you need a good training for that. So not everybody can do it. So sometimes people are privileged, like you, all of us, I think, come from privileged backgrounds. At least we had access to good education, city-based education. So we are at par with the others. But if somebody has to come from a rural area and then compete at par, then he or she naturally will have to work harder to come up to that level. But having said that, let me tell you that at least in our times, there were many officers who had come from absolute rural backgrounds, but who made it good. One of our senior officers even quit the IPS and joined the United Nations. And you must be knowing Mr. R.C. Singh. He was in Hoshiarpur.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So he is right now in Dhaka in one of the very senior positions, and he is a permanently absorbed. So he came from an absolutely rural background, but you could not make out that he was from rural schooling or whatever, because he had worked upon himself, polished himself to such an extent that he could compete with the rest very easily.
Yeah, that's, I think, I mean, after a long time, you have given a very good kind of, advice, because I always used to wonder, the boys are, doing 3 attempts, 4 attempts, 5 attempts. I mean, how long can they go till they are overage?
Till they are
And
left with no
yeah, exactly.
This is where Ravi, this is where self-awareness is required. So
Yeah.
let's come to a
Right.
spiritual thing, that we are not aware of ourselves. So
Yeah, but
unless you know,
I never asked this question to anybody, and good that this topic came, because I always used to wonder they should quit and do something else, because
yeah,
the
yeah,
exposure, the amount of studies they have done, that study can carry them anywhere in any other field. It's
yeah, yeah,
anyway they are, at that certain level when it comes to their studies. And that also reminds me, on the same topic, when I was down for my second mates exam way back in 80s, 83, 84. That time, huge recession was going on in the merchant navy. This is again pertaining to, like today also there's recession going on. A lot of students are wondering, whether what to do. Companies are not calling. So at that time, many students, they quit sailing because the companies were giving them 4 years NOC, 5 years NOC, jao jo marji karo. And I don't know, you must be knowing Mr. Sunil Arora, who just retired as CEC.
yeah.
Government of India.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
he comes from Hoshiarpur. Okay, they are three brothers, and one is IAS. He's also IAS, and the middle brother is IFS. So the youngest one, Rajiv, he was about a year junior to me in the Merchant Navy. He was a SCI cadet. So वो भी around 85, 86 he passed out, and there was no job. So what he did, he appeared for BA from Osmania University online. I mean, that time it was not online, it used to be correspondent. And then he appeared for IAS, and he's a IAS officer. He's a senior secretary, I think, in Haryana government somewhere, the younger brother. So
Yeah.
that's the story of, some
He is the
people
right
who,
person to come on your next chat.
yeah. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Any other
He has a
questions?
merchant navy.
Yeah, I
He has,
have one interesting question from.
Yeah.
I would like to know something about how you use your gun.
how you use how
Gun.
you use what?
Gun.
Gun. Oh, my gun is stored away somewhere, which I won't even tell you, so that you don't want to use it. So gun
It's
is
wonderful.
gun. The gun. It is. My advice is don't use the gun. That is the best thing. So as
Okay.
police officers over so many years of service, one has realized that bringing around people with love and affection is much easier than using a gun. So why use a
Definitely.
gun if you are persuasive, you can talk to them, you are conciliatory. So there are many guns is good for movies and show off and all that. Had you told me, I would have shown you my gun. but I am more of a conciliatory police officer. So I believe in getting things solved without using the gun. But of course, if you have to use the gun, you will use it as a last resort for self-defense and all that. So Hoshiarpur, I can share one incident,
Yeah.
Ravi, if you have the time.
Yeah.
So,
I have all the time. I have all the time.
I can see that. So in Hoshiarpur, you remember there was this bridge which used to, connect Hoshiarpur with Gurdaspur. So
That
there
one.
was so there was this issue of the BJP versus Congress wanting to take credit for making that bridge. And
Right.
Mr. Vinod Khanna used to be the MP of Gurdaspur, who had been
Gurdaspur.
instrumental in the previous government in getting that made. But by that time, the Congress government came to power. Earlier, it was the Akalis were there in Punjab, but in 2002 onwards, the Congress government came and they wanted to inaugurate it. So there was a big law and order problem. So then, what happened, Gurdaspur and Hoshiarpur, that they are very close by. So we had this big, law and order issue in which the Chief Minister, the Congress Chief Minister, the present Chief Minister rather, he was to inaugurate it on the next day. But on the previous day, the MP, Mr. Vinod Khanna and all his followers, they wanted to come and inaugurate. So we were told that don't let them inaugurate. So we, parked on that bridge, and the DC was there, and I was there as SSP Hoshiarpur, and then there were a whole lot of people. People were trying to come in from BJP. People were trying to come in from Hoshiarpur side. And also there was a group which was coming from Gurdaspur side. So it was just like about 500 yards away. So we were ready with all our gunpowder and everything. So at the last moment, these people, they started, the SP on the other side, on Gurdaspur side, was injured by a brick thrown by the protesters. And there were 5,000 and he was injured and he had to be taken away. So those 5,000 crowds started descending on the Hoshiarpur side. So, I was there and the DC was there on the bridge, and we were ready to fire up with all the fireworks. We were ready to fire and use all the smoke cannons and everything. So as the crowd started coming around, so the our policemen in reflection, he could see that this is happening. So they started letting off their smoke cannons.
Yes,
And it gives a noise, and it was all very fired up and everything. So at the last moment, I spoke to my DIG Jalandhar, and I said, "Sir, अब क्या करें? ये तो हमारे सिर पे ही आ गए." So because we were told very strictly कि भाई इसको, so then he tells me very clearly. वो कहते कोई बात नहीं, अब आगे तो क्या कर सकते हो, आने दो. So that was a big lesson that if we had used firepower, then there would have been a confrontation. One or two people would have been injured, and that is what happened on the other side, Gurdaspur side. And then there were people injured from that side who were injured by plastic bullets and all that. So they were not even being allowed by the Gurdaspur police to go to a hospital, because there was so much of commotion. So even we facilitated those people also coming from our side. Then the entire 5,000 people descended on that bridge. So people are basically peaceful. So what I did was I climbed atop a canter. Canter is a big semi, goods vehicle. So the police canter ke upar, which is open from this, it is at a higher level. So I climbed on top of that. And then I just waved like this with both hands. कि ठीक है, वो they started saying हमने कर लिया. मैं कहा ठीक है, आपने कर लिया, हो गया, अब आप जाओ. Because there was 5,000, you did not have any mic over there, ना. So I just did by hands. कि ठीक है, वो पहले कहते हैं कि इनको मिलने नहीं देना. हमने कहा मिलने दो, हमने अपने भाइयों को मिलना है जो उस साइड है. हमने कहा मिल लो. So then we did like this, and then they dispersed. So what I'm saying is that firepower is not really necessary all the time. So sometimes you have to realize that people on the other side are humans. They also don't want to die. Somebody, some 16-year-old person has come to join the BJP, and his mother doesn't want to see his dead body killed by police fire.
Absolutely.
So it is, and it always creates a problem. So it's always better to diffuse the situation. So that is my answer to your, where is your gun? So
but that's
my gun is in my brains.
Absolutely, that's a very, very human face of a cop we are saying, which is more important, for people to know that.
No, probably this is the effect of having women in the industry.
Absolutely, that too.
Women have that quality of compassion and coordination and collaboration. So they have that collaborative tendency. I don't say men don't have it, but women have it very naturally.
But I was
So
just
I
reading an
that
article. I was reading an article yesterday. By and large, any country or any organization which has more women in number, and they are women heads who are running the organization or the countries, they are doing better than the countries who have the men who are running it. The
Not
statistics are
that
there.
country.
These statistics have been given by IMO.
yeah, it is a fact.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then see, this is as a gender. If we want to talk about machoism and muscular strength, men will fare better. And that is what the Indian Army generals wanted, that these women are not tough to
Yeah.
that extent. So the Supreme Court then took out a list of awards which some 100 or out of 150 women officers, some of them 20, 25 had been given multiple awards by the same generals. And then you
Okay.
say that they are not good enough for permanent commission. You are actually depriving them of the economic opportunity to earn a
Absolutely.
livelihood. So it is
Absolutely.
very discriminatory. And if the top level army generals who are very well educated, who are also supposedly, I come from an army background myself. My father was retired from the army. So one knows that army officers are supposed to be, better educated, more liberal than their civil counterparts. But if that is the kind of attitude that you have to the women entering the forces, right? There are certain things like forward, infantry things where women may not be able to compete at a equal level, and they
Right.
may not be. They may not be best placed to do that. But there are so many other services like the Army Service Corps, the Army Education Corps, and even EME, electrical and mechanical engineer, from which my father
Absolutely.
comes. So
Okay.
so many engineers who do the mining and all that stuff, and
Right.
even in dealing with technical issues and all that. So I mean, it's all a matter of how competent you are, and it depends
Absolutely.
on your sincerity to the service. So if women are doing excelling and doing so well, then why would you deprive them of entering into that, or
Yeah,
getting
that's
permanent commission for that matter?
yeah, that's something which always troubles me, worries all of us. I mean, we coming back to the mariner world. 1.2 million total seafarers all over the world, and only 2% are women. 2%. That's shameful. And out of those 2% women,
They're in cruise
90
line.
94% of those 2% are in the cruise industry.
Cruises.
Cruise line.
Only 6% are in the cargo ships. I mean,
Eh,
like I always ask so many people, I'll ask you also, Gurpreet, what should be done to, increase the number, I mean, by the IMO or by the countries or by the authorities or by the shipping companies? What should be done to, bring them up?
See, what I will say, Ravi, first of all, the one of the harsh realities is that, like, the police service is a very difficult service, whether it is for men or for women. For in the
yeah.
same manner, the shipping life is also a very difficult life. You have to remain away from your children. The children there is a kind of natural inclination for women to be with their children, and
With
I
the
think
children?
the
Yeah.
children will be losing out a lot if their mother is not around.
Mother is away.
So
Yeah.
there are issues like that which are practical in nature. But having said that, I would say that if women want to be in the merchant navy, like men also take an option for being in the merchant navy, despite knowing the hardships which are involved in the life of a sailor. So if a woman wants to, knowing all the hardships, and if she has a feeling that she can overcome those hardships and get into the occupation because of its so many attractions which it has, So then, we should encourage that. And what your organizations can do is to, have more videos, awareness, which are reaching out to the general public to tell them that how the life of a mariner is. And if women want to join, see, there are very many women who want economic opportunity. And it is a great economic opportunity to be in the merchant navy. You can raise the level of standard of your family. I believe it is very well paid. So you can, you have to, people don't know much about merchant navy. So when you talk
Actually,
about...
that's a very good idea, the awareness through the videos and live programs.
So men also don't know. In fact, one of my cousin's son, recently he wanted to join the merchant navy. So I kept dissuading him. I said, ki nahi, ye to bada difficult hai. So you try something else and you join the Indian army, which is more stable and all that. So, but he said, nahi. So he rejected all my advice. I got him to speak to a senior mariner also. So he said, no, I am not going to join. No, sorry, he's going to join.
Who are you talking about?
No, I can't. This is just young boy I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't want to. He wanted to join. So I kind of dissuaded him that you don't join because it is very tough. So he said no, I have to join, and now he has joined by his own work or whatever. So that is good. So he wants to be there, if for good or for bad. So similarly goes for the women. If the women want to be there, let them be there. But to encourage more women to join it, you have to, and it is good to have more women on board, that gender, having a male-dominated kind of thing, on the ship also, I think it is kind of very boring. So, so women
lack of company sometimes.
Women bring lot of things and a lot of color as well. So I think it's good to have. See, you have color with me here. So
no, like Nyari mentioned last time. I interviewed Nyari, and she said, she joined as a fourth engineer, and she was the lone woman on board. But it also depends as a woman, how do you tackle these issues? So she wanted to break the glass ceiling, and she initially, men, even if I go to the ship today, and I have a woman officer, I'll be slightly wary in the sense, she should not think that I am coming heavy on her or my intentions are wrong. So I'll probably wait for her depending on, the comfort level. So what Nyari did was, she approached everyone, ki arey aao, ye mere saath ye uthao, ye kaam karao, go to my cabin and bring so and so. So she kept her cabin open to the entire ship staff. To make sure I am not a woman, I am a mariner. So that also depends, how individually you tackle certain things.
Yes. I mean, you have to have that kind of confidence to, deal with the issues which come on board. But of course, for a woman to be, it's good to have a woman for company. So on board, if I can appreciate that Nyari would be having a tough time. So it's good to, be there and break the glass ceilings. But at an emotional level, sometimes you need your own gender to connect to also. And to share your problems. Because as a minority gender and in a male-dominated environment, people will try to give their own kind of sense. There is a lack of acceptability, lack of inclusivity. So they would like to shut out that woman, and I'm sure Nyari must have faced all that. But and sometimes it is very subtle. So people are not really, speaking, directly, but subtly they are trying to put you down. And so that is where you need to, open up with your women colleagues and all that. So I think you need to have, if you have few women on board, it is good to have more women on board, and it is good for everybody concerned. And of course, one doesn't have to state it again and again that women are equally good and sometimes better. So
absolutely.
I remember. I remember, sir, on my first shift when I had joined, and what happened that I was the only. There was a couple. The second engineer's wife was there, but as a working woman, I was the only one on board. But the fact that I was in the engine room, the deck department used to always complain to the master that why sir only in the engine room? Let's call for more. So
That's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. But
They
you
must be getting
also,
discriminated.
so the deck
but
side
that,
people used to feel that all the glory and all the good things are happening only to the engine room staff.
yeah, but at the same time, you also suffered the other issue. Before even you joined the ship, the entire engine room was protesting to the company why a woman engineer is coming on board. So that was the
Yeah, yeah.
downside.
Yeah,
So
that
that
that always
also,
happens. That happened
yeah,
even when I was supposed to join as a third engineer. When you've lived in the industry, you've grown up, you've been certified, and even then that kind of thing happens. A
that
lot of times, like
happens.
I told you, our name goes as Mister Nyari because somehow that's how it is in the system. So a lot of people still keep believing that it's a man, who's going to join, and
It's
but
a
then when
man.
you step
Yeah.
on board, they are like, oh, this Mr. Nyari was actually a female.
So they
Kashish,
must
any
be very
question?
pleasantly surprised.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, surely.
So
There's
many
no
of the
doubt about
companies
it.
have rejected my sponsorship also because they thought I was a boy. So many of the companies has rejected because I was a girl. In the last, they had like given me marks for interview, but they rejected me because I was a girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
this has
that's
happened a
a
lot of
sad
times.
part. Yeah,
Yes.
and
Ma'am,
any
how do
other
you
When
question?
you're
tackle with this misogynist institution? We all know that there are people sitting in the higher authorities. Somehow, on the other, they are having this female feeling of misogynist and they're hypocrite. How to tackle them? The sexist comments that they made on women and not allowing them to sit in the high position, like the Chief Justice of Supreme Court. We are not having any woman as Chief Justice of India.
No, no. In fact, this Chief Justice said the opposite. He wanted to have,
Have a Chief Justice.
he
Yes,
wanted to
ma'am.
have a woman as a Chief Justice, but I
Chief
think
Justice.
that did not happen because the others said that, the person who was to be promoted from the High Court to the Supreme Court, she was junior to a few others. So seniority became an issue. But I mean, when you have to break these glass ceilings, or there is a gender which is underrepresented. I think at the
Yeah.
highest level, you need to have that kind of openness and generosity to let competent women come to the very top. So I would say that it was very regressive on part of those, judicial officers to think only of seniority and not think that, it would also be kind of a reservation for women. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
not
yeah.
exactly a reservation, but giving that much of space and having equality of genders being represented at the highest courts is very important.
Absolutely. Yeah, it
So,
is.
misogynist tendencies, I would say that they would be there. People are carrying that baggage from their upbringing and those kind of things. So it has to be by and by. You have to talk to these people and confront them on those issues. If somebody says, which is something in a meeting, for instance, says something which is clearly can be categorized as misogynist, it should be pointed out by you at that time, even at the cost of feeling a little out of way, and at the cost of people like to not have confrontation in the organizations. But these are things where if women will not speak up, then nobody else is going to speak up.
Absolutely.
So,
Right.
if we are the lone woman in a room and somebody makes that kind of remark, then we have to, stop that. See, as a
Right.
woman officer, I have been in a room full of officers where the top cop, our boss, would be addressing a whole lot of officers and addressing them as gentlemen. So,
Right.
Yeah.
gentlemen, good morning, gentlemen. So, no recognition of the lady.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think that these are not really fights worth fighting. You say,
Yeah.
sir, aapne aise keh diya, to I mean, it will create a kind of a more of a controversy than actually clear up the perceptions. But if somebody says, something like, see, you are not wearing the right kind of clothes, where only from a perception of a misogynist, then you can say that you have no right to comment on whatever I am wearing, as long as it fits the professional attire norms for the organization.
Absolutely.
So you have no business to comment that it is too loud, or you are wearing nail paint or whatever.
Right.
So
Right.
these are very minor things, but people need to be told that women object. They think that women take it for granted. So when we don't speak, they keep assuming that it is all right to do so. But the moment it
Absolutely.
is pointed out, I think people in the merchant navy have that kind of wisdom and the awareness and the exposure to not repeat that kind of thing if somebody is doing that. And I think to the men also, I would like to say that, I mean, men need to speak out. Just because you have this cozy thing of brotherly bhaichara kind of thing, if there is a woman, if she could be your sister, she could be your daughter, so would you like that kind of treatment being meted out to her, where
Oh
in a
yeah,
meeting
definitely. Definitely.
she's made
Definitely.
those kind of comments? So I always find that where these men keep quiet, I mean, I to really hate them for that. So, you
Yeah, yeah,
should
yeah.
actually, people should speak out. Whatever is, I feel that you should speak out for whatever is justice and what is the right thing to do. So, if you have some character in you and you are confident about your own abilities, you need to speak out for the persons who are weaker in the institution. And I don't say that women
Absolutely.
are weak, but then as a minority, they need help and support from the top leadership, and the top
Right.
leadership should come out in favor of the women. And for example, a top mariner can tell his ship people that, I will not tolerate sexual harassment on this ship,
Yeah.
and that is
Right.
clear.
Right.
I will tolerate anything, but if it falls in the definition of sexual harassment, then you will be boarded out, right? So that
Right.
kind of
Right. Right.
leader, that kind of tough talking needs to be done whenever a woman is on board. And I think
Right.
the leaders of the shipping industry need to keep that in mind when they conduct their affairs and go about even recruitment for that matter. So there should be a
Right.
kind of, even in the UN they ask for a, they give preference to women officers when they do their recruitments. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
one
Mm-hmm.
way of doing this is to say in your policy that we give preference to women, because not for any other reason, but if other things being equal, the woman would be recruited because to bring more gender inclusivity in the organization.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
recently, about 3, 4 days back, I was on a live chat, I think late in the night, and same thing. I was talking about the same thing, what should be done. So I said, even men, let's say I am sitting with another 3 men, and those 3 men are, female bashing in a bad way. It becomes as a responsible person, it becomes my responsibility to stop them, that I will not tolerate, at least not in front of me. You cannot talk like that. So if that attitude, comes, you stop people on their faces, ki, shut up. I have women in my house. I have my wife, my mother, my daughters. You cannot talk about women like that. So, somewhere like that, we have to start set a precedence.
Yes, but that
Yeah.
requires strength of character. So that requires
Yeah,
strength
it
of
does.
character to,
It
go
does.
against the majority. So that is
Absolutely.
what
Absolutely.
people
And
have to
I
rise
uh,
to.
and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
Yeah,
Nyari.
Nyari?
Yeah, and I think just to make it simpler for them to understand, like given a batch of women and one man walks in, I think all the women will be like, "Bichara, Akila, let's help him. Let's support him." Why isn't it
Yeah.
the other way around when there
Other
are
way
all
around.
men
Yeah.
and there's only one?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would definitely, I
Absolutely.
can vouch for all those group of women who will be there in that group because I had this kind of situation when I was preparing for JE, and the other batch was of the medical students. So in medical, there are more girls, and there was only one guy in their batch. So they used to pamper him and then make him feel that it's okay, not it's okay to be the only one. So I mean,
Right. Right.
just
yeah. So that shows how compassionate women are. When
Women
yeah,
are.
they never
Absolutely.
wanted him to single out. But
yeah,
given
Absolutely.
the other condition, why are men so regressive and
yeah,
leg
In
pulling?
fashion
True.
industry also, in fashion designing colleges also, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think
so
with that, I think we have come to the end. It's almost 1 hour. Thank you so much, Gurpreet, that you
yeah.
stayed that long. I thought
No,
you
I
would,
thought that
just
you would be interested in talking about other things, but it was
No,
such an
this is
engaging talk that I wanted to continue. Thank you so
oh,
much for
that's
having
what
me.
trust me,
happens when women talk.
trust me. I'm going to go after you again after a month or month and a half and get you again with some other,
No,
similar
no
kind of a topic.
problem, Ravi. It is. I am equally Vela as you are.
So that's two of us. Thank
Yeah,
you
yeah,
so
yeah.
Thank
much,
you, ma'am,
and
for being with
it's
us.
been
Thank
a
you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
pleasure.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Good,
Thank you.
good
And
Thank you so much.
and
meeting the women sailors. I'm very proud of you
absolutely,
and
yeah, yeah,
keep the flag of women flying high.
Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. The
And
last
thank
words
you, Ravi.
from
Thank you, Ravi, for organizing this. It was an
all.
absolute pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. And my invitation is still on. I had asked you once breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You said all three of them, and you still haven't given me chance to
Okay, Ravi. No,
treat
no, no.
you.
Now that we have become Instagram friends, we should do that as soon as the weekend lockdown is over.
ठीक है, ठीक है.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and good evening,
Okay.
and good night, and Nyari, Kashish, thank you so much,
Thank you,
and good
sir. Thank
night,
you, ma'am.
and good.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. Bye
Captain
bye.
Ravi.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.